Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are good. So, in last class, we were discussing about Indian Contract Act 1872. Let's take a quick revision of what we have read in last class, what we have understood in last class, that is Indian Contract Act 1872. I taught you that Indian Contract Act 1872, an agreement will known as a contract only if it is enforceable by law under section 2 subsection H. An agreement will only be considered as a contract if it is enforceable by law under section 2 subsection H. To become enforceable by law, there are certain conditions which an agreement should fulfill. To become enforceable by law, there are certain conditions that should be fulfilled. That is free consent. Parties must be competent to contract. Capacity. The consideration of the contract should be lawful. The object of the contract should be lawful. The contract should not be void. If any of the condition is not fulfilled, if any of the condition is not fulfilled, then it cannot be considered as a valid contract. A agreement can only be considered as a contract if it fulfills all the conditions. Okay, now let's see. So we were discussing about essentials of a valid contract. We were discussing about essentials of a valid contract. Offer and acceptance. We have already discussed offer and acceptance. I told you. Offer is the first thing for the formation of a contract, because if there is no offer, there will not be any contract. If there is no offer, there cannot be any contract. So offer is the first thing for the formation of a contract. The person who is making the offer will be known as offerer, and the person to whom the offer is made will be known as offeree. So first thing for the formation of contract is offer. Acceptance. Second thing for the formation of contract is acceptance. A person is offering something, but if there is no person who accepted that offer, but if there is no person who accepted that offer, then a contract cannot be formed. So second step in the formation of a contract is acceptance of the offer. There should be two persons. One person who is offering something and another person who accepted that offer. Only then a contract can be made. Only then a contract can be formed. So second step in the formation of a contract is the acceptance of the offer. Now, now, consideration. What is consideration? Consideration means the value given. Consideration means the value given for the performance of a promise. Consideration means value given for the performance of a promise. For example, Mr. A wants to sell his car. Mr. A wants to sell his car to Mr. B. Mr. A wants to sell his car to Mr. B. Mr. B asked, "What is the price of car?" Mr. A told him that I will sell you my car for rupees 2 lakh. I can sell you my car for rupees 2 lakh. Now, now, Mr. B accepted the offer. Mr. B accepted the offer. So you see, there are two persons. Number A, Mr. A, who offers the car, and number two, Mr. B, who accepted the offer. So there must be two parties. One who offers the car, another who accepted the car. So Mr. A made an offer to Mr. B to purchase the car for rupees 2 lakhs. To purchase the car for rupees 2 lakhs. Mr. B said, okay, I will purchase the car for rupees 2 lakhs. Now, what is consideration? For Mr. A, for Mr. A, in exchange of car, he is getting 2 lakh rupees. So for him, the consideration is rupees 2 lakh. For Mr. A, the consideration is rupees 2 lakh because he is getting 2 lakh in exchange of car. For Mr. B, what is consideration for Mr. B? Mr. B is giving 2 lakh rupees and in exchange of 2 lakh rupees, he is getting the car. So for Mr. B, consideration is car. For Mr. B, consideration is car. So you see, both the parties get some consideration. Means both the party get some value for the performance of promise. Both the parties get some value for the performance of promise. For Mr. A, for Mr. A, for Mr. A, consideration is rupees 2 lakh in exchange of the car. For Mr. B, consideration is a car in exchange of rupees 2 lakh. So value given for the performance of promise is called as consideration. So I mean to say, if you want to form a contract, if you want to form a valid contract, there must be some consideration for the performance of promise. Sir, is it compulsory that consideration should be in monetary term? Is it compulsory that consideration should be money only? No. It is not necessary that the consideration should be money. It is not necessary that the consideration should be money. For example, for example, Mr. A, Mr. A gives his car to Mr. B and in exchange has taken the car of Mr. B. Mr. A has given Mr. A has given his I-10 to Mr. B and in exchange has taken Mr. B's I-20. Now for Mr. A, consideration is I-20 because he has given I-10 and in exchange of I-10 he has taken I-20. So here consideration for Mr. A is I-20. For Mr. B, what is the consideration for Mr. B? He has given his I-20 and in exchange of I-20 he has taken I-10. So for Mr. B, consideration is I-10. So you see here Mr. A or Mr. B do not, no person has get any money, but they have exchanged their car. So this will also be considered as consideration. It is not necessarily be money. It should be something, it should be something that has been agreed by the party and has some value. It should be something that has been agreed by both the parties and has some value. Acha, suppose I went to some orphanage. I went to some orphanage and I donated rupees 10,000. I went to some orphanage and I donated rupees 10,000. Now please tell me, is this a valid contract? Is this a contract? I went to some orphanage and I donated rupees 10,000. Is this be considered as a contract? No, sir. This cannot be considered as a contract. Reason being, I donated rupees 10,000, but in place of 10,000, I do not receive anything. I do not receive any value. There is no consideration. There is no consideration. I donated rupees 10,000, but in exchange of 10,000, I do not receive any value. I do not receive anything. So this type of agreement cannot be considered as a valid contract. This is not a contract. For a for an agreement to become a contract, there should be some consideration. So donations, charities, whatever donation you do, whatever charity you do not receive anything in exchange of the money or anything you are giving. So such type of agreements cannot be considered as a contract because there is no value. Because there is no value. Acha, now, sir, is consideration need to be adequate? Is consideration need to be adequate? For example, I have a car, Creta. I have a Creta car of Hyundai company. The market value of my car is rupees 5 lakh. The market value of my car is rupees 5 lakh. I have given my car. I have given my car to one of my close friend. I have given my car to one of my close friend for rupees 50,000 only. For rupees 50,000 only. Now, is this a valid contract? Again, I am repeating. I have a Creta car. The market value of my car is rupees 5 lakh. I have given that car to one of my close friend for rupees 50,000 only. Is this a valid contract? Yes, sir. This is a valid contract because it says that there should be some consideration. It need not required that consideration should be adequate. It is not compulsory that consideration should be adequate. It is my car. If I want to sell my car for 50,000, I can sell my car for 50,000. If I want to sell my car for 5 lakh, I can sell for 5 lakh. If I want to sell my car for 10 lakh, I can sell my car for rupees 10 lakh. Now, in exchange of car, I am getting rupees 50,000. So that 50,000 is a consideration for me. And for my friend, he is giving 50,000 and he is getting car in exchange. So that car will be consideration for my friend. So I want to say that consideration need not to be adequate. Got my point? But there must be some value given for the performance of promise. So this is consideration which is an essential for a valid contract. Free consent. Free consent. A contract is valid. A contract is valid if it is entered into by free consent of the parties. A contract is valid if it is entered into by free consent of the parties. Free consent. Section 14 of the Contract Act defines free consent as the consent not given under coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. According to Section 10 of the Contract Act, a contract is valid if it is entered into by free consent of the parties. Section 14 of the Contract Act defines free consent as the consent not given under coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. Now let's see what is coercion, what is undue influence, what is fraud, what is misrepresentation and mistake. What is coercion? What is coercion? Suppose I want to sell my land. I have a land and I want to sell that land. The price of my land is rupees 1 crore. The price of the land of my land is rupees 1 crore. I want to sell that land. Mr. Ram contacted me. Mr. Ram contacted me. Connect to me. Mr. Ram connected to me. And Mr. Ram threatens me. Mr. Ram threatens me that if you do not transfer your land to me for rupees 10 lakh, if you do not transfer your land to me for rupees 10 lakh, then I am gonna kill you. Then I am gonna kill you. And out of the fear to get killed, I transfer my land to Mr. Ram for rupees 10 lakh. The price of my land is rupees 1 crore and I want to sell my land for 1 crore only. But Mr. Ram threatened me that if I do not transfer my land to him for rupees 10 lakh, then he is gonna kill me. And out of that fear, I transferred my land to Mr. Ram. I transferred my land to Mr. Ram for rupees 10 lakh only. For rupees 10 lakh only. This type of contract will not be considered as valid contract because it comes under the category of coercion. I have not transferred my land by my free consent. My consent was to transfer the land for 1 crore, not for 10 lakh. So there is not a free consent of mine to transfer the land. But because of fear to get killed, I need to transfer. I was forced to transfer my land to Mr. Ram. So this is not a valid contract. Now, undue influence. Undue influence. Please try to understand this very carefully. Suppose uh, there is a servant. Suppose there is a servant who is working at my house for around 20 years. There is a servant. There is a servant, Mr. Amit. There is a servant, Mr. Amit, who is working in our house for around 20 years. For around 20 years. Now, Mr. Amit want to sell his bike. My servant, who is working at my house for around 20 years, my servant, who is working at my house for around 20 years, wants to sell his bike for rupees 20,000. I said, Mr. Amit, that I will purchase your bike, but I can give you only 5,000. I will purchase your bike and I will give you only 5,000. Mr. Amit said me that I will sell the bike for rupees. I will sell the bike for rupees 20,000. I said no. I will give you only 5,000. I have given him 5,000 and I have taken his bike. Now, Mr. Amit could not say me anything because I was in the dominant position. I was in the dominant position because Mr. Amit is my servant, and out of the fear of getting the job lost, in the fear of getting the job lost, he transferred his bike to me for rupees 5,000. This is called as undue influence. A consent which is obtained by a person who is in a dominant position. A consent which is obtained by a person who is in a dominant position as compared to other person, then it is known as undue influence. This type of contract cannot be considered as a valid contract. Now, what is fraud? Sir, what is fraud? For example, I want to purchase a mobile phone. I want to purchase a mobile phone. I want to purchase a mobile phone. I went to a shop. I went to a shop where the shopkeeper has given me a Samsung phone. Where the shopkeeper has given me a Samsung phone, and he told me that the phone has 200 GB of storage, 20 megapixel of camera, and and on believing on him I paid him rupees 20,000 and I purchased Samsung phone. When I come to my home and I check the phone, I get to know that instead of 200 GB of storage, instead of 200 GB of storage, there is only 100 GB of storage, and in place of 20 megapixel of camera, there is only 10 megapixel of camera. Now, the shopkeeper has intentionally done this with me. He knows, the shopkeeper already knows that the phone has only 100 GB of data, 100 GB of storage, and only 10 megapixel camera. But but he cheated me just to sell the mobile phone. He cheated on me just to sell the mobile phone. This is called as fraud. When the act is done to cheat other person, when the act is done to cheat other person, knowing the person who is cheating that I am telling the lie, it means the act is done to cheat other person, whether to get an advantage over the other person. The shopkeeper want to sell the phone to me, that's why he cheated. He told me lie that the phone has 200 GB of storage and 20 megapixel of camera. This type of contract cannot be considered as valid contract because it is a fraud. It is a fraud. Misrepresentation. Suppose I went to a shopkeeper. Again, I'm giving the same example so that you can differentiate between fraud and misrepresentation. I'm going to give you the same example so that you can differentiate between what is fraud and what is misrepresentation. I went to a shopkeeper to purchase a mobile phone. I went to a shopkeeper to purchase a mobile phone. The shopkeeper told me that we have just received a new mobile phone of Vivo company. If you want, you can purchase that. We have just received a new mobile phone of Vivo company. If you want, you can purchase that. I said, okay, show me the mobile phone. He shows me the mobile phone and he told me that this mobile phone is having 200 GB of storage and 20 megapixel of camera. And on believing the shopkeeper that this phone is having 200 GB of storage and 20 megapixel of camera, I paid him rupees 15,000. When I come to home, and I check the phone, I get to know that the phone has only 100 GB of storage and only 10 megapixel of camera. Now that shopkeeper had made the false statement innocently. That shopkeeper itself do not know because the phone has come newly arrived. So he himself do not know that the phone has only 100 GB of storage and the phone is having only 10 megapixel of camera. He was in the myth. That the phone is having 200 GB of storage and 20 megapixel of camera. So this type of statements are called as misrepresentation. This type of act is called as misrepresentation when the person made the false statement innocently without the intention to cheat other person. When the person makes false statement innocently without the intention to cheat other person, it amounts to misrepresentation. This type of contract is also not valid contract. So now you all know what is coercion, undue influence, fraud, and misrepresentation. What is the difference between fraud and misrepresentation? In fraud, you made false statement intentionally with the intention to cheat other person. But in misrepresentation, you made the false statement innocently without the intention to cheat other person. Got my point? Now let's move ahead. Capacity. A contract can only be entered by a person who is capable to contract. A contract can only be entered by a person who is capable to contract, or you can say an agreement can only be considered by a person who is capable to contract. For example, suppose in my house there is a child who is of 10 years of age. In my house there is a child who is just of 10 years of age. He wants to eat a chocolate. Now he knows that he will get the chocolate from the shop. That that 10-year-old child find a ring, find a ring in my house, find a gold ring in my house. That 10-year-old child, innocent child, find a gold ring at my house. He took that gold ring. He went to the shopkeeper. He given that gold ring to the shopkeeper and said to the shopkeeper that you keep this ring and please give me chocolate. Very innocently, he has given gold ring to the shopkeeper and he has taken the chocolate. Now, now, that 10-year-old child has made a contract with the shopkeeper. In that contract, he has given the gold ring and he has taken the chocolate from the shopkeeper. Now, now, a contract to be valid, the person should be of major age. The person should not be minor. The person should be major. Major means a person who is above 18 years of age. The child is just of 10 years of age. It means such type of contract made by such child of 10 years of age cannot be considered a valid contract because that child is not capable to contract. You are capable to contract only after the age of 18 years of age. Only after 18 years of age all the persons who are above 18 years of age is is eligible to enter into a contract, but the child is below 18 years of age, is of just 10 years. So such child with innocent mind, with not so mature mind, cannot enter into a contract. So such type of agreement made with by the child with the shopkeeper will be considered as invalid contract. Such type of agreement made by the child with the shopkeeper will be considered as invalid contract. Acha. So a minor and a person with unsound mind, a minor and also a person with unsound mind, not a stable mind. The person who do not have a stable mind, a person who do not have a stable mind as well as a minor cannot enter into a valid contract. A person who is a minor as well as a person who do not have a stable mind means a person who is having an unsound mind cannot enter into a valid contract. To enter into a valid contract, the person should be of sound mind as well as the person should be a major person. What my point? Okay. Lawful object. What is this lawful object? Now let's take an example. Mr. A made a contract, or you can say Mr. A made an agreement with Mr. B. Mr. A made an agreement with Mr. B that you have to kidnap Mr. C and I will give you 1 lakh rupees. Mr. A made a contract, made an agreement. Mr. A made an agreement with Mr. B that you kidnap Mr. C and I will pay you 1 lakh. Now, to kidnap someone, the object of the contract was to kidnap someone. What was the object of this agreement? To kidnap someone. Such type of object is unlawful. To kidnap some person is unlawful, means not lawful. To kidnap some person is unlawful. So such type of agreement cannot be considered as a contract. Such type of agreement cannot be considered as a contract. Agreement to kidnap someone cannot be considered as a contract. So to become agreement to become contract, an agreement to become contract, the object should be lawful. Now let's do some MCQs so that you can get the clarity of the topic. Let's do some multiple choice questions so that you get the clarity of whatever I have taught you. Let's do this. A dash is an agreement enforceable by law. A dash is an agreement enforceable by law. A contract is an agreement enforceable by law. A contract that ceases to be enforceable by law. It means a contract that is not enforceable by law. A contract that is not enforceable by law. Valid contract, void contract, illegal contract, none of the above. A contract that is not enforceable by law, void contract. Void contract is not enforceable by law. A dash is the first thing for the formation of a contract. What is the first thing for the formation of a contract? Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. The first thing for the formation of a contract is offer. The first thing for the formation of a contract is offer. Value given for the performance of promise. Value given for the performance of promise. Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. What is the value given for the performance of promise? Consideration. Consideration is the value that is given for performance of a promise. According to section 10, consideration and object of the contract should be. According to section 10, consideration and object of the contract should be lawful, void, useful, all of the above. The answer is, according to section 10, consideration and object of the contract should be lawful. According to section 16, if consent has been obtained by one person who is in a dominant position compared to other person, then it is undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, fraud. The answer is undue influence. The answer is undue influence. Dash is the second step for the formation of a contract. What is the second step for the formation of a contract? Acceptance. Acceptance is the second step for the formation of a contract. As per section 10 of the Contract Act, an agreement is a contract. As per section 10 of Contract Act, an agreement is a contract if it is made among other essential by free consent of the party who are competent to contract. As per section 10, an agreement is a contract if it is made by other essential by free consent of the party who is competent to contract. Competent to contract means offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. Who is competent to contract? Who is capable of contract means capacity. It means an act done. It means an act done to deceive the other person, whether to get an advantage from the other person or because of ill will or enmity towards the other person, an agreement done to cheat other person. Undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, or fraud. The answer is fraud. When false statements are made innocently without the intention to cheat, when false statements are made innocently without the intention to cheat, then it amounts to undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, or fraud. The answer is misrepresentation. Got my point? So this was the essentials of valid contract. Now let's start another topic. Let's start another topic now. Yes. I hope you all can see the PPT. Now we are going to start another topic, that is discharge of contract under Indian Contract Act 1872. Discharge of contract under Indian Contract Act 1872. What is discharge of contract under Indian Contract Act? Discharge of contract means termination of the contractual relationship between the party. When the contract is finished, when the contract is terminated, it is called as discharge of contract. Discharge of contract means termination of the contractual relationship between the party. When the parties entered into the contract, has performed their promise, has done their part of performance, then the contract is finished. Contract is terminated. This is known as discharge of contract. For example, for example, I went to I went to purchase a laptop. I went to purchase a laptop. I made a contract with the shopkeeper that I will purchase the laptop and I will pay you 50,000 rupees. I will purchase the laptop of Dell company. I will purchase the laptop of Dell company and I will pay you 50,000 rupees. Now in this contract, my part of promise is to pay rupees 50,000. Shopkeeper's part of promise is to give me laptop. We both have made a contract where we both have to perform certain promise. I promised to pay 50,000 and the shopkeeper promised to give me laptop. I have given 50,000 to shopkeeper. I have given 50,000 to shopkeeper and that shopkeeper has given me the laptop. I have given him 50,000. I have given 50,000 to shopkeeper and the shopkeeper has given me laptop. Now, I performed my part of promise, that is to give 50,000 rupees. The shopkeeper performed his part of promise, that is to give me laptop. Now, now, in this case, our contractual relationship is terminated, means finished. The contract is terminated, means the contract is finished because we both have performed our part of promises. Because we both have performed our part of promises. This is known as discharge of contract under Indian Contract Act 1872, where both the parties to the contract, where the contractual relationship between both the parties to the contract is terminated. Got my point? Now, there are various modes, or you can say there are various ways through which contract is discharged. There is there is various modes by which a contract can be discharged. Various forms. अलग अलग तरीके से a contract can be discharged. There are various modes by which contract can be discharged. Number one, discharge by performance. Discharge by performance means I have just given you an example that I want to purchase a Dell laptop. So I went to the shop. The shopkeeper told me the price is 50,000. So I promised to pay 50,000 and he promised to give me laptop. I have given him 50,000, he has given me laptop. So we both have performed our promises. Now, the promise can be of two types. The promise can be of two types. Actual performance. The performance can be of two types. The performance can be of two types. Actual performance, attempted performance. So what is this actual performance and attempted performance? Now, the example I have given you was of actual performance, where I promised to give 50,000 to shopkeeper. I given 50,000 to shopkeeper. Shopkeeper promised to give me Dell laptop. The shopkeeper has given me the Dell laptop. We both have actually performed our promises. We both have actually performed our promises. I performed my promise of paying 50,000. The shopkeeper performed his promise to pay me to give me laptop. We both have done our part of promise. We both have performed our part of promise. This is known as actual performance. This is known as actual performance. When all the parties to a contract do what they agreed to do, where all the parties to the contract do what they agreed to do is known as actual performance. Where both the parties to the contract do what they agreed to do, what they actually agreed to do is known as actual performance. Contract is discharged because we both have performed our promise. What is attempted performance? What is attempted performance? Now, for example, I want to buy a pencil. I want to buy a pencil. One of my very good friend, or you can say one of my very close friend, is running a stationery shop. I want to purchase a pencil, and one of my very good friend is running a stationery shop. I went to his shop. I went to the shop of my friend, and I told him that I want to purchase a pencil. I want to buy a pencil. He gives me a pencil. He has given me a pencil. I asked for the price. I asked for the price. He said that the pencil is of rupees 2. That the price of the pencil is rupees 2. I said, okay, I will give you 2 rupees. You give me the pencil. Now, I promised to give 2 rupees. That is my part of promise. He promised to give me pencil. That is his part of promise. He has given me pencil. He has performed his part of promise. Now I was trying to give him rupees 2. I tried to give him rupees 2, but he said, you don't want to give me rupees 2. You are my friend. You can take the pencil. I don't want the money. Just take the pencil. It's okay. Because he was very good friend of mine. He was very good friend of mine. He said, okay, you don't give me rupees 2. Just take the pencil. It's okay. So now in this case, I attempted to perform my promise. I was trying to give him rupees 2, but he do not take. I attempted to perform my promise. I tried to perform my promise of giving rupees 2, but he do not take. So this is known as attempted performance. Now the contractual relationship between both the parties has come to an end. The contract is discharged. Got my point? So in actual performance under the contract, all the parties to a contract do what they agreed to do. In attempted performance, the promiser attempts to perform the promise, but the promisee refused to accept the same. The promiser attempt to perform the promise, but the promisee refused to accept the same. So you all got my point. What is actual performance and what is attempted performance? I hope you all must have understood what is actual performance and what is attempted performance. Now we will continue this topic in the next class. We will continue this topic by discharge of contract. We will continue this topic discharge of contract by various modes in next class. Today we have just taught you one mode of discharge of contract, that is discharge by performance. In next class we will cover this topic completely, and we will also do some illustrations. Now, now I am giving you some illustrations for homework that you have to do. I am giving you some illustration for homework from the topic Essentials of Contract. I have completed the topic Essentials of Contract. I have taught you each and every point in the topic Essential of Contract. Now, please try to attempt the illustrations so that you can get the clarity on the topic. That is Essentials of Contract. I am sharing illustrations with you. Please try to attempt those illustrations. So yes, these are the illustrations. I have already read the illustrations for you and we have solved. Please look at the illustrations and try to solve these illustrations, because as long as you do not solve these MCQs or illustrations, you will not get a clarity on the topic. These MCQs, these illustrations will help you in getting the clarity on the topic. The topic will be very clear when you solve these illustrations. Please try to solve the illustrations that I am sharing with you. A dash is the first thing for the formation of a contract. Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. Offer given for the performance of a promise. Value given for the performance of a promise. offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. Please, yes. According to section 10, consideration and object of the contract should be lawful, void, useful, all of the above. According to section 16, if consent has been obtained by a person who is in a dominant position compared to other person, then it is a undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, fraud. A dash is the second step for the formation of a contract. Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. As per section 10 of the Contract Act, an agreement is a contract if it is made among other essential by free consent of the parties who are competent to contract. Offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity. It means an act done to deceive other person, whether to get an advantage from the other person or because of ill will towards the other person. Undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, fraud. When false statements are made innocently without the intention to deceive, then it is known as undue influence, misrepresentation, coercion, fraud. Please try to attempt these illustrations so that you can get the clarity on the topic. In next class, we will cover the topic discharge of contract. We will cover the topic discharge of contract, and we will also do some illustrations on the topic. Thank you all for joining. Thank you very much. Please take care. Stay safe. Goodbye.